Hello everyone. This is an update regarding converting the rival Pilot blaster to fire silly shells. This is something that I've been working on and off over the past week, and I managed to make a little test piece that just kind of pops into place on the Pilot once you remove the barrel. And this is just for me to test if this has enough power to fire silly shells, and it does. So this is just a little thingy. The air comes out of the plunger tube like normal. I removed the air restrictor. Air comes out and then goes up and out, and then there's a little face here. And I didn't glue in the O-ring because this is just a test piece, but it works fine by just kind of pushing it there and then holding it in place when you're loading the shell. And this is just a test performance, and this seems to be performing fine. It's a little bit less than wild style, which makes sense because there's a smaller plunger tube. However, this is also the stock spring on this. So with K25 in this plunger tube, it might be more comparable to wild style, but either way, it's worthwhile. So I'm going to be working on a conversion kit to convert the Pilot with a new front end, like a break action thing that takes silly shells. All of them. Should work well, based on the little bit of testing that I've done so far. And it also occurred to me that since this style of plunger tube is the same as the Knockout, I might as well work on one for the Knockout too. So I bought some Knockouts, and yeah, I'm going to do the same thing to this. It's a bit easier on the Knockout because this entire blue piece, all of this blue plastic, can come off. And then you just basically have the grip in the plunger tube, and you can build around that. And lots of people have done that with Knockout kits before, like Meeker and Edrian. I really like Edrian's stuff. It's very nicely done. I don't feel like measuring out all the stuff here, so I'm going to be asking around the designer community to get some files to build off of for the bit that connects it to the grip. But if I can get those, I'll make a conversion kit for this to use silly shells as well as this. I actually like the Pilot's prime more versus the Knockout where you need to pull it back and push it back in. And you can't deprime it. But it's a lot easier to design around the Knockout because this stuff can come off. On the Pilot, silly shells, there's no way that they're going to fit inside the original barrel for the Pilot. 0% chance, unless there's a ton of shell cutting. So what I've basically come to the conclusion of is I'm going to have to cut these yellow bits here to make space because silly shells are too wide. I'm not sure if you can see it, too wide to fit in between those two bits. So I'm going to have to cut those anyway. And then I'm going to make a bit of a barrel that follows these body contours here and pivots off of this same thing. And it's going to also connect through this area here. I'm just going to have a pin going through this bottom section here, and then have all of this stuff up here filled with solid plastic with screws going through it to use for connecting the breech section of this. So there's going to be two main parts to converting the Pilot to silly shells. There's going to be a breech, which is essentially this piece here, but it would be smaller, where it just connects to the plunger tube and provides a face seal for the shells. And also a little bit up here connected to that piece to add some sort of like locking mechanism for the pivot, like a little latch. And then the second piece is the barrel itself. So that's just the main purpose of that piece is to just break open and closed, and there's no other functioning component other than maybe an ejection system, which I could add here with a piece of elastic or rubber band, something like that. It should be a relatively mechanically simple thing to do, but getting it to aesthetically match the shell, like follow all these specific contours and stuff, that's going to be a bit of a pain, but it shouldn't be that bad. So I'm gonna try that out in some spare time between other more substantial blaster projects. I actually have 3 Pilots, this one, another one down there, and 2 Knockouts to test stuff with. So we'll see if I can get some stuff going. I'm gonna fire off some shots. As I said, this is just being held in place manually right now because there's no glue on it. So like I said, this has slightly less performance than wild style, so Mega XL works great. Mega works great. 3X Elite is a little bit light, and 4X Elite is no-go. That's Mega, works fine. And Triple Rival is a little bit too much for this, but Double Rival works fine thus far. Double Rival works real well. Ultra. Working real well. And then Triple Elite. Works great. And then, of course, Sniper Shells would work in a break action thing. Let's see if I can load this single-handedly. There we go. And then line that up. So this could be really fun, because that performs really well with a long barrel. So having an option on the break action to lock in the sniper shell is going to be really good. That's actually, side note, before I finish off the video, that is a part of the sniper shells themselves. They all have these little extra holes in the back, even the call-it version of the sniper shell, where you have the loosening nut here instead of the screws. They all have these little thingies here. That is so you can take a... do I have one? This should be close enough. So you can take an M3 screw. This is a pin, but whatever. You can take an M3 screw and put it there as a set screw, and it'll go inside that hole and lock in the sniper shell from being ejected from whatever ejection system you have in the blaster. So you can lock in the sniper shells. So you can do the break action stuff without them popping out each time. You can just break it open, put it in a dart, fire. So yeah, that's all that I got for you today. Pilot that takes silly shells is going to be worked on, and it seems pretty promising performance-wise thus far. Knockout, I haven't tested any pieces yet, but as far as I can tell, the plunger tube for the Pilot is pretty much the same as on the Knockout, at least in the top section, so it should be really easy to convert for this to use a similar system as this. I might be able to use similar files and then just edit them for whichever blaster it's going into. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I've got for you today. I'm going to be working on that, and I'll post some updates on that as they get done. Probably a few months until that gets far enough along to you know, be good, because I have other projects I'm working on. All right, that's all that I've got. Bye bye.